Thank you once again, everyone, for coming up with some wonderful, wonderful topics. Uh, I have been listening and I had planned something to speak on social and uh, social relationships as well as corporate relationships, at workplace. So my plan was to speak about my own story when Sainath told me to share something around that. Can I share my screen?
Yes, I have made you a co-host.
Okay. So a lot of people I haven't spoken with or met with prior to this, I'm interacting with them personally, face to face for the first time. And it's great to see the energy. And people are talking about consciousness, something that, I do in one of my programs. We talk about the levels of consciousness, and it was so nice to hear everybody talking about on the same lines, right? And we feel absolutely, as Seema said, and as Sainath said, very, very powerfully, we're all connected. And that's the feeling that I got. So quickly, I won't take too much time. I know we have bursted the time limit, so I won't take too much time. So importance of relationships in social and professional growth is a topic which was assigned. A quick story about myself and why I chose to speak as far as this topic is concerned. I have been into corporate for almost 19 years of my career, in the banking industry, so to say, right from 2000 to 2019, after which I decided to leave my corporate career and start something on my own, which was my passion for coaching. But because of my association with the corporate career for 19 years, this topic becomes very close to my heart, right? And it's very important in these days when, especially during the pandemic, when people are supposed to be working from home, not able to go to office, they have to work in a hybrid environment. How do they still continue to maintain those relationships, right? For their social as well as professional growth. So my story started in the year 2000 when I joined one of the Indian banks, ICICI Bank, one of the largest banks in India. I started at a very small level. I started as a phone banking officer in the call centers. Right. From there onwards, I started moving on to different roles. I handled larger teams. I handled 10-member team after 1 year. Then I changed my organization, went to a different organization, handled a 50-member team. Until first 8 years of my career, I was always rated a very high performer in the organization. But it was in 2009 when I was handling a fairly large team of around 300 to 500 people from Bangalore. One of the bosses who had recently joined the organization started challenging my leadership style. And it was very clear that he was not happy with the way I was functioning, right? And I could make that out. So during the performance appraisal, which happens, yearly, I was called into his cabin and he gave me a rating of a very, very low rating, which was never expected, right? And I was in for a shock as to how can somebody come just a year back and rate myself so low when I was the top performer for the first 9 years of my career. And that kind of shook me, right? However, because I was into self-help reading, I used to read a lot about self-help, self-development, leadership. I understood where I was going wrong. And I confronted him. I asked him, are these the areas that you want me to work upon? He said, yes, these are the areas that you should be working upon. I started working upon them. I changed myself. And the same manager rated me a slightly higher, much more higher than what he had rated me after 6 months. So that was one milestone which I particularly talk about as far as my career goes. And there is a reason why I talk about this, because this manager made me realize the relationship that you have with your own self and the kind of relationships that you need to have with others, right? What he made me realize was my blind spot. Because I was continuously being rated higher, I continuously working in the same fashion for a very, very long time, thinking this is the way it should be. This is the way I need to grow. This is the way I need to handle. So my relationship with myself continued to remain the same throughout, and it never changed. The moment he challenged me and I started looking at the world from a different perspective, I realized that my relationship with myself actually needs to start changing. That's point number one. And my relationship with others also need to evolve. I can't continue to behave and be the same person that I was 10 years back. I need to change myself as I move forward if I have to really grow in personal life as well as in professional life. That's when, from being a submissive person, where I used to take a lot of things from others and just only work and be nice to other people, respect others but never respect my own self, I started understanding the importance of being assertive, right? How do I start taking tough decisions with people? How do I start making decisions which help the organization and not just myself? How do I take decisions which need not necessarily make me feel, make me look good, but how do I take decisions which will make the organization also look good, right? Those are some of the things which actually started changing over a period of time, and thanks to that manager. Now I could have thought about the relationship with that manager as if he was like a villain who came in my life and shook my stuff. But thanks to my self-awareness, again, as Mr. Sarode says, that instead of looking at him as somebody who has come to destroy my career, I started looking up to him as somebody who has actually helped me shape my career from there onwards, right? Had I took it in a negative sense, right, I would have further gone down. But I decided to turn it around and say, hey, look, what is he trying to tell me? What is he trying to show me which I am not able to see right now? And that's when the whole situation turned around. And that was a time when I realized my real passion and real strength of helping people, of motivating people, of talking to people. That was the first instance when I became aware about my passion for coaching and passion for developing people, right? So that's one story which I wanted to share. What happened after that was again very different, right? When I moved from that organization to a different organization, that was the first time I came across coaching. I was being coached by somebody else. That was another turning point in my corporate career. When I was coached, there was another thing that came to a realization. There was another big blind spot that came in front of me. So one of the things which I shared with my coach at that point in time was, look, that anything which is complex in nature, I can't handle that. Whether it's a small task, whether it's a relationship, anything, personal life, professional life, I tend to avoid that. And I want to work on that. How do I start working on that? And he asked me for an example. Give me an example of one such complex situation that you think you can't handle. And I told driving. Driving is something that I can never handle. Because how can one focus on so many things at the same time? Right? Changing gears, using the steering, looking at the rear mirror, looking at the front mirror. It's impossible for me. I just can't do that. I need help there. So, to cut that long story short, obviously, since that was not the main focus of coaching, by the way. The focus of coaching was something else. But because of this topic that came in, I learned driving. Today I can drive. But what happened as a result of that, when I started learning driving, he asked me, so Prasad, what happened now that you have learned driving? So what was there? What did you learn from it? I said, look, his name was Vikas. I said, Vikas, what I learned is it is not the things that are complex which make me avoid to do them. It is my ego of not asking for help when I need one. So when things are complex, which I feel they are complex, I run away from them because I don't feel like asking for help. Because I think if I ask for help, what will people think about me? How will I look like? Will I come across somebody as dumb? That is what was stopping me from confronting and taking on complex things. So the assumptions that I was making about myself throughout this life, it was almost like in 2015. So I was almost just 5 years, almost for 35 years, I was making certain assumptions because of the way I have been brought up. Like if I ask for help, right, what will people think about me? And because of which I never confronted or never took on some things which were challenging. That blind spot brought me to a realization, look, ask for help. And as Sainath was saying, we are all connected. I think it was a very powerful statement that he made. I was still that time, I used to think that I have to do everything on my own. I don't need anybody's help. I can do everything on my own. And that's another question that coach asked me, Prasad, tell me something. Right from your childhood till now, who all have helped you? And that kind of took me back. And everybody has helped me, my parents, my friends, my teachers. And here I was saying that, no, I don't need anybody's help. I should be able to handle it. So there are these small stuff that we think we can do on our own, because of which we don't go and ask for help, right? Where we should actually be asking for help. That is the realization that I had. So that's another learning. So apart from being assertive, and then this is the second one, assumptions. Don't make assumptions, right? That was the biggest learning that I had in my life. And the third thing which I learned as I moved to Singapore, after this job, I moved to Singapore for 3 years, from 2016 to 2019. I was already a coach. I had taken the coach training. I was coaching people. And in Singapore, I started getting the urge that I should be moving to coaching. Now, I can't do this role, what I'm doing right now. And then I again hired a coach. And that time I realized the power of networking. Again, to Sai's point and to Seema's point, connecting, right? So in corporate language, it's called networking. That's another word that we use, right? For 17 years of my corporate life, I never networked. Okay, I never ever networked. But when I decided to move on and start something on my own, that's when I realized the power of networking, right? Because again, there was another assumption in my mind about networking. For me, networking used to mean that people do only gossips. People only ask for things that they want. If you need something, you have to network. So it was more of a selfish purpose. That was the assumption that I had in my mind. And that is when I realized networking is not about taking. Networking is all about giving. And that kind of changed my whole perspective. It was a complete paradigm shift. And that's one mantra that I started to use after that. Give without expecting anything in return. So whenever anybody asks me about networking, this is one simple statement. Give without expecting anything in return. Don't even expect something has to come. The moment you expect, you're gone. Just give. And I think that was another thing that I learned in relationships, is how important it is for us, for all of us, to continue to network, to build those relationships within our community, outside our community, right? So these were the 3 points which I thought I can share about my own personal story, how I evolved. I think there is still a long way to go while I say all of this, right? We are all WIP at the end of the day. No one is perfect. That's what I believe, right? So this will continue. And, so I have just covered these things in some 3-4 slides. First is I started listening to myself, right? I think relationships, if you ask me, my personal opinion in relationship is, are you really listening first to your own self? And I think that's where Sarode sir, you made some brilliant points on meditation. Meditation is all about listening to your own senses, to your own surroundings, right? Firstly, to your own self, your thoughts, your emotions, your senses, right? That's the first thing which I learned in this journey. Second one is, are you listening to others and the environment around you? right? Don't get so consumed only by listening to yourself that you forget what is happening around you. That's also important. That's how you get connected, right? So are you listening to others? Are you listening to your environment? What's happening, right? That also starts building your relationship with others and environment, right? What assumptions and beliefs are blocking when I'm listening and understanding myself and others? This is the third thing which I thought was extremely important. Even when I coach people today, every time somebody makes a statement, and this is one of the things that happened just the other day, I had put it up on LinkedIn as well. Somebody said, I have a fear of judgment. Whenever I interact with people, I fear whether others are judging me or not. What do others think of me? So I asked them one very simple question. I said, how much time do you think others are investing in thinking about you, right? And the answer was hardly 1 or 2 minutes, 0. Exactly. The answer was, I don't even know whether they're spending that time in thinking about me. I said, versus how much time are you thinking about thinking what they're thinking about you? A hell lot of time. So what are we saying here? Where is that fear of judgment coming from? You're spending your energies on something which you don't even know whether it is happening or not. Rather, try and spend that same energy on yourself, trying to do something meaningful. So assumptions, beliefs, I think we all have them, whatever we do. So constantly checking what are those assumptions and do I challenge those assumptions? That's the fourth point. Are we every time thinking and challenging whatever assumptions and beliefs that we have? If we start doing these things, the relationship with self, relationship with others and the environment will automatically start changing. But this needs practice. This absolutely needs practice. Only when we start doing that, the relationships will start changing, not just with self, with others, with the environment and everybody else, right? So those were some of the things which I thought I will be sharing as a part of, social and corporate growth, professional growth. So that was my story. I thought these learnings can help, and that's how I end my presentation. Thank you, Saina.
Hello, I'm Niharika, Success Manager at Strong Human Network. We keep posting a lot of content which helps a person lead a strong human lifestyle. So if you wish to lead a strong human lifestyle and be the best version of yourself, do subscribe and follow us on YouTube, Facebook and Instagram. We'll see you there. Thank you.